Hey, what's up, guys? It's been a while. Um, I lost my phone a little while back, which has caused me to not be able to record. So that's why I've been gone for so long. But I want to catch you up a little bit about what I've done since the last time. Since the last time I recorded. I do have another topic in mind for this video, but first I'll just like tell you guys what's been going on and stuff. Uh, Basically, first, what I did was one of my friends came down to South Carolina, or North Carolina, I mean, not South Carolina, and we explored a forest together for a good month or so, and that was pretty fun. And after that, we both went to this awesome rave together that we went out to in the woods, and that was a pretty good time. And during this whole stretch of what I'm talking about, like I experienced a lot of like pretty deep spiritual growth and a lot of spiritual experiences that I want to share. But let me finish first. After that, we went to two rainbow gatherings, one after the other, which was pretty awesome. Basically, rainbow gatherings are where like a bunch of spiritual people, and sometimes not necessarily spiritual people, but like a lot of people of different backgrounds and stuff like that, but mostly spiritual people, come and gather out in the woods together and sit around fires and play music and just and cook for each other, have just like a good time, just a just a good time together in general. And just like it's a lot of fun. And I had a lot of very interesting experiences there. And after that, we both hiked the Appalachian together. We hiked 20 miles on the Appalachian, but because it was a little bit more difficult than we anticipated, and some other obstacles that got in our way, we only hiked 20 miles, and we were out there for 9 days. But it was it was a very like it was definitely a very fun thing to experience, and I'm glad I got the chance to experience it. So, and then I was yeah, and then I came back here on my own to go and do things on my own. I kind of wish I could have like recorded a lot of that, but because I didn't have my phone, that wasn't an option. But I plan to make a lot more exciting adventures along the way from here on out that I will record, and I will show you guys if I have access to a phone in the future like I do now. Hopefully I do. But yeah, anyways, on to the topic of this video. I wanted to talk more in depth about angels and make this another spiritual beings video, but just specifically about angels, because I've learned more about them since the last time I made a video about them. So like the first thing I want to like talk to you guys about is the event that sparked my curiosity and started me learning a little bit more about them. Basically, I was at the Rainbow Gathering, and this wasn't the first time I tried them, but I've tried some psychedelics. I did acid, and the night that I did acid, I was like, I had this crazy trip. I was sitting around a fire, and I was listening to the drumming, and I was staring at the flames, and I looked around. And at first it started the way that most people describe it. I saw after images of everybody, like everybody was moving their hands and stuff like that, and I saw after images of their hands moving around, and it was pretty wild, and it was pretty fun, and I was having a good time. And then like I was ready to leave the area and go to a different spot, but I was like too messed up to actually like find the way myself, so I had to get my friend to show me the way. So I walked up with my friend, and my friend started leading me out, but then I got stopped in my tracks because I decided I wanted to look at the sky real quick, because it was like a really starry night out, and the stars were great there. The stars were beautiful. The basically, like, you could basically see the Milky Way pretty clearly. Not like you would in like those crazy pictures that you see of it, where like you see all like everything out there, but like I could see it pretty clearly, and it was pretty beautiful. It was in the George Lake National Forest. But anyways, when I looked up at the stars, like I saw an ophanim, which is what, you know, those like videos you see of the biblically accurate angels, the ones with like the wheels spinning around each other. Well, it turns out that those aren't like the actual biblically accurate angels. Those are what are called ophanim. And ophan means wheel, ophanim means wheels. And so I saw one of those, except like the eyeball, the part in the center was like the star that was like closest to the center of the sky, and then like all the other stars in the sky were the eyeballs that were on the wheels, and the wheels were also spinning around the earth, and they were spinning around the stars, and each star was also like its own ophanim. So like the center of, so like the eyeballs on the wheels, the stars, were also the center of another ophanim. And then I saw like the stars that were on the outer edges of the wheels getting sucked in to the wheels themselves. And I was like, that I was just like in awe at this point. I was like slightly terrified, not gonna lie. I was kind of terrified, but at the same time it didn't like mess me up badly or anything like that. I was still having a good time, but it was definitely kind of scary. But anyways, that's not where it ends. So like I went to the next tent over where I was just chilling out, and in my, like, I started seeing these like, well, first I started going through like these tunnels. I started seeing myself going through these tunnels, where like these balls were spinning around in these like circular rooms that were also spinning around the balls, and I was just like shooting through these tunnels, like basically like partially astral projecting. And then after that I started seeing these ophanim, and they were like everywhere I looked. They were like everywhere. Like I could see the physical world, I could see the plants and like the dirt and like the trees, but they were made of the ophanim. Like these things are making up the structure of our reality. And then like and then after that, something even crazier happened. Like I became this like white light, this blaring white light that was on the outside of our universe, and I saw a bunch of these ophanim that were like in kind of like a stream, like a straight line, that were infinitely going upwards, like, and these basically what these were different universes that were in a stream with one another. And it was pretty crazy. And like the whole universe was like one of these ophanim that were made up of smaller ophanim, and they kept getting smaller and going down. And so like what this whole event triggered like a curiosity for me, like of what like I know what these Ophanim are, but like what are other angels? What actually are what the Bible describes as angels? Like the word angel means messenger, but like what are they exactly? And so like I started doing some digging, and I looked up like what religions the angels originated from and stuff like that. And I did research on like the cherubs and some other things. I intend to do research on seraphim, so I might, but I haven't yet. So I might like make another video solely based on that. Basically, though, was what I found is there's many different religions that speak about beings that are reminiscent of what we know as angels in the Bible. And something you should also know is that the original Bible, the actual like description of angels in the Bible, they don't like actually have wings in the Bible. They're not described as having wings. They just look like regular people in the Bible. And where we got the idea of an angel with wings from was these other religions that we got the idea of angels from. Basically, like what I found though was that like what okay, wait just a sec. So like the most likely religion that it all originated from was probably Greek mythology, because Greek is the general thing that most religions get all their like stuff from. Like a lot of religions get their like ideas and concepts from Greek mythology. But there were other religions that I dug into and looked into that describe beings that are similar to angels. But Greek is the oldest, so it's more than likely that the original concept of angels came from Greek mythology. But they're also mentioned in Hinduism and this other religion. I can't remember what it's called, but it starts with a Z. And I can't remember where it's from, but I gotta look into it more. It's a lesser known religion. I didn't know about until like I actually started digging into it. But like something interesting is if you look at Greek mythology and you look at the god Apollo, he's described as, well, first, okay, wait, let's backtrack a little bit. I just realized I should have explained something else first. I want to explain a little bit about cherubs. Cherubs in the Bible are described as these four-headed beings. They have one human head, which is in the center. They have a bull's head, which is on the left. And then they have an eagle's head, which is on the right. And then they have one head that's like looking backwards. I can't remember what type of head it is, but basically what these cherubs in the Bible, when the wheels are described, the Ophanim, they're described as being next to the cherubs, and the wheels are like the wheels on the cherub's chariot, which and the cherub is basically like commanding the chariot, and the four heads on the cherub represent God's all-encompassing will that goes in all directions. And like, so now that I've explained that, I want to go on to my explanation of what I was talking about before. So the god Apollo is one of the Greek gods that are, they say, were like similar to the description of angels. But if you like look at the description of the god Apollo, it goes much deeper than that, and it's much more interesting when you actually take the time to analyze it. So it talks about how the god Apollo rides on a chariot of fire which drags the sun across the sky or something like that. Um, and so like if you connect this with like the whole thing with the ophonims that I was talking about before, about how like what I think the ophonims are is like they're surrounding each star, and like the stars are the angels, and they're like the guardians of like the elements of our world. And and that's why I saw them surrounding the stars. And so like if you take all of that into consideration when you look at the god Apollo, the god, and then take the cherubs, the god Apollo and the cherubs and the ophonym and the description of the ophonym are like the same thing, because like the cherubs talk about how they ride on a chariot, that the wheels of the chariot are the ophonym, and then it talks about how like the sun rides behind the chariot of fire that Apollo rides on. And like if I'm right, and because like the ophonym surround the stars and the sun is a star, that means that the ophonym are like riding behind the chariot as well. Like it's hard to actually like put into words what I'm trying to say, but I think that you probably get it. Like the ophonym are also like like the star, the ophonym surround the stars, and then the sun is being dragged alongside or behind this chariot, and it's very similar to the description of the cherubs and the ophonym, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so like that's like something very interesting that I came across. And so like another thing that I wanted to talk about is a thought process that I was having. And the thought process is also that perhaps it's not just the stars, but also like there's angels behind each direction, each of the four directions on Earth. Like there's that's like actually, like if you look into angels, that's actually something that they already say about it. But what I'm trying to say is that basically like they are the directions themselves. They're like the essence of the directions, the spirits of them. Like, and they don't just guard over them, they are the directions. Like basically what angels are like just beings that actually make up the law of our universe, make up the structure of our reality, and make up the and decide how our reality works in a way. And like if you're like, so like but that's only on like Earth. I think that like the cherubs are like the spirit of the four directions of the different directions in space, because like the Bible talks about like them being like an all-encompassing a being that represents God's will, being all-encompassing. And you can't say that the spirits of the directions in space would be the same as the spirits of the directions on planets, because direction works differently in space because of gravity. When you take gravity into consideration, that's what allows there to be east, west, south, and north. And in space, there is no east, west, south, and north, because there's just like coordinates and stuff, because it's a vacuum. There is no gravity. There is no like sense of that direction in space. And so like assumedly the spirits of the direction in space would differ from the spirits of the direction on planets. And so like and basically like the gist of what I'm like getting at is that like like all of these biblical creatures are just representations of like the way that the physical world works, like how everything in the physical world works and translates into the spiritual world. And this is really interesting. It can be really useful in your magic if you like grow to understand this and feel it and actualize it into the physical world, because what it can do for you is it can like give you more control over physical reality, because by tapping into these spirits, you can basically like you work with them in order to manipulate the actual structure of our reality, the physical structure of our reality, I believe, because that's what they are. They're beings that make up the structure of our reality. And when you get deep enough in touch with them, they give you command over them, and they allow you to manipulate that structure. They allow you to basically command them into acting the way that you want them to like act in order to change things in the physical world. And basically another thing I wanted to talk about is how I think that like all of these gods, all of these goddesses, all of these angels and stuff, they're the same thing. Each religion is actually just describing the same thing over and over again. And like because there's other religions that have like that talk about there being spirits behind the directions. There's other spiritualities that talk about that. There's witchcraft that talks about that. It talks about how the elements, there's spirits of each element, and each element correlates with each direction. And so like I think that all of these things are actually just the same being described in different ways and being seen in different ways by different people. And I've said similar things like that before. I can't remember whether or not I've said it on my YouTube channel or not, but I wanted to go like in more in depth with it. But yeah, basically like these working with like spiritual beings and stuff is actually just like gaining the ability to gain command over the structure of our reality. And that's kind of what witchcraft is once you get deep enough into it. That's the essence of it. And just remember, everything is made of magic. Magic flows through you, and if magic flows through you and you're a part of the everything, then you can control the everything. But anyways, yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. Blessed be everybody. Have a beautiful day. Peace. And I love you all.